we had a lot of stuff today, Kim. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Diddy's former assistant.
Image of Obama on a pill bottle. That's just one startling element from Diddy's already astounding testimony. Other surprising discoveries in the courtroom include his claimed strange drug use and unnerving party demands. The music mogul's future is not looking. What is the true meaning of this strange assertion? Watch as we examine each startling allegation.
The former personal assistant to Mr. Combs, David James, returned to the stand. Jurors also heard from the mother of singer Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. He has pleaded not guilty to all of those charges. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas is outside of the courthouse in New York City. Chloe, walk us through what has happened in court so far today.
Yeah, so Ellison, you talked about David James. He is somebody who worked for 2 years for Combs as a personal assistant, and he really pulled back the curtain on what it's like to work for someone like Combs. He said that sometimes his days would be 20 hours at a time, and he would work 21 days in succession with no breaks. And he talked about how he knew that he was signing up for a tough job, but he also talked about how Combs allegedly had him.
Think about that, man. Working 20-hour days, 21 days straight with no break. Think about the stuff he has heard and seen. Think about all this is what I was talking about. This is what I've been waiting for. Because, you know, I know a lot of people are quiet because they probably were going to testify. And then there's people who are quiet because, you know, they're trying not to get on Diddy's bad side, allegedly. But this right here, I said bodyguards and drivers, and of course, personal assistants. These are the people who know the most, seen the most. Wow, that's, boy.
So have him get prescriptions under his own name.
Okay, so, sorry. I don't know if I can mention all the stuff he would get for Diddy, you know, stuff for Diddy to put in his body, but they were just saying that that's what he was doing. He was the one that was getting the stuff, and saying that, you know, now they're getting into the racketeering and all that. Because people were like talking about Cassie, saying all of this, yes, is DV, but this is not what he's on trial for. And hey, but wait, there's more. Now we starting to get into it. They said they were just laying the platform down.
Let's dissect this. Ever since David James, Diddy's former assistant, testified, people have been wondering why in the world a prescription bottle would have Barack Obama's visage. James claims that while working for the legendary musician, Diddy never had the smiling image of the 44th president of the United States. This claim caused a stir in the courtroom, and to be honest, it's easy to understand why any pills would bear Obama's face. Were they prescription medications, illegal substances, or just a strange collector's item? As of right now, no one seems to have a definitive response, but James's detailed testimony makes it difficult to dismiss as merely a casual remark. This particular image of Obama's face didn't hold back when James emphasized how strange and out of place it seemed. No brands were mentioned, and no types of pills were identified. James described the pill bottles as an oddly consistent part of Diddy's daily activities, claiming they weren't concealed in a drawer or discreetly tucked into a bag but were carried openly like any other personal item. Just this odd, almost unreal detail. Reactions in the courtroom reportedly ranged from shock to suppressed laughter as he stated it. One onlooker reportedly shook their head in perplexity, whispering to the person next to them, "Is he serious?" Adds a layer of strangeness to the legal mix and isn't just another ridiculous allegation to the more comprehensive depiction of Diddy's private life. After all, pills can have strong meanings, whether they allude to medical necessity, recreational usage, or even reckless behavior. However, a nod to celebrity culture, a hidden message, or an exaggerated novelty item? James did not specify if it was a single bottle or a component of a larger pattern, but everyone was baffled by the detail's specificity. Legal experts have commented that although such claims may appear insignificant or even humorous at first glance, they can aid jurors in creating a psychological profile of a defendant. One analyst proposed that the bottle depicts an unpredictable individual with peculiar habits that only strengthen the accusations of a chaotic, unusual setting. But here's the kicker. At this point, James's claim regarding the mysterious bottle is completely based on hearsay because there is no tangible evidence to support it, such as photographs or receipts. Will the defense claim that it is merely a wild exaggeration, or will they remain silent and hope that the public moves on to more serious portions of the testimony? The Obama pill detail has already gone viral outside the courtroom. While Diddy has remained silent in court, James's description has touched a nerve with the public. Whether it is true or not, it's just another odd element in an increasingly long list of accusations, and it keeps people attentive to every development. However, this testimony only gets more outrageous because beyond pill bottles, there's now, it might be even more difficult to trust the rumors about freak-off parties and James's disclosures of Diddy's demands.
Former assistant was forced up there. We had Cassie's mom take the stand. The Punisher stepped up and got up in there. And then we had a HSI agent from National Security, Homeland Special Agent, who was responsible for the planning. And then we had a tease at the end, a big name coming tomorrow, it sounds like. Whoo! All right, we're going to get through it all,
Potentially.
Kim.
We're going to get to it all.
It looks that way. What was your overall takeaway today on day 7?
Overall takeaway, I was surprised. First of all, I will say David James, the assistant, is hilarious. I think everybody was there were multiple notes of people laughing in the courtroom, which technically you shouldn't be doing, but I couldn't help myself either. I had moments where I was just laughing my head off at just some of the answers that he was giving. Of course, his cross-examination was done by Costco lawyer, as we lovingly call him, Mark Agnifilo, because of his baby oil jokes. Or not jokes, but defense that was absolutely ridiculous. After that, we had Cassie's mom. Cassie's mom was not cross-examined. Diddy's team wouldn't do it, which I thought spoke volumes, and definitely learned something new of what she had to go through today. Then we had the Punisher, who was a worker that engaged in some of the FOs. Kind of contradicted himself more than once. Not good. And then we moved into the HSI agent, and this was the agent who was in charge of organizing the Miami raid.
Scene 511. What is meant by a knockoff party? According to David James, who used that phrase when testifying about his purported experiences working for Diddy, these weren't your normal celebrity house parties. Rather, they were exclusive, chaotic, and allegedly full of situations that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Here's the issue, though. Wasn't merely there to see the chaos, James testified that he was compelled to help with these occasions, performing duties that he characterized as degrading and invasive. James portrayed an atmosphere in which excess was the norm. According to reports, these events had A-list attendees with erratic expectations, and a setting where it was difficult to distinguish between personal and professional limits. James said that in addition to being an assistant, he was required to handle party arrangements, cover for unforeseen circumstances, and even manage Diddy's apparently very private requests. He recounted times when the pressure to maintain. As the night went on, one of the most unsettling accusations got more outrageous, making everything that had been going well intolerable. James disclosed that to keep things under control, he was told to keep an eye on guests' private conversations. He claimed that frequently involved going beyond what anyone would consider a normal job description in terms of boundaries. James described how it was impossible to refuse. Diddy at these times, since any opposition allegedly resulted in a poisonous mix of demands that felt both personal and predatory, placing him in an uncomfortable and degrading situation. Whether it was being shouted at, humiliated, or threatened, James's emotional testimony about the effects these experiences had on him made these accusations even more damning. He spoke of feeling trapped and unable to leave the job because of fear of the consequences, claiming the constant pressure to satisfy Diddy's increasingly strange expectations during these events had a serious negative impact on his mental health. He characterized each event as a chaotic cycle in which something may go catastrophically wrong at any time, and he would always be responsible for fixing it. James's sharing of one enduring memory from a courtroom shook the gathering. Freak-off party. He told the court about an incident in which he allegedly had to escort a hostile guest out and was later held accountable by Diddy for the guest's actions. James said the public humiliation that ensued was so severe that it confirmed his employer's perception of him as expendable. When combined with his other claims, the weight of that memory gave his depiction of working under Diddy's control even more depth. If the pill bottles were odd, these party accusations go further. They don't only expose a toxic workplace, they also imply a degree of control and excess that is difficult to understand. But it doesn't end with parties. James also made an accusation. The way that Darker Duty handled guns, and James is about it, would chill the courtroom.
In carrying out illegal activity and using assistants, security guards, and other individuals that work for him to carry out that illegal activity. So he's one of many individuals that previously worked for Combs that we're going to be hearing from. And like you said, who else did we hear from today? We finally heard from Cassie Ventura's mother. It was very brief on the stand, but she talked about taking photos of her daughter in 2011 when she came home to Connecticut for the Christmas holidays, and that she was shocked to see her daughter's body, that she hadn't been aware that her daughter's relationship with Combs had been violent at this point, and that she took those photos to memorialize them. And thankfully for her, she did, because they showed those in court today to the jurors.
Okay, again, just in case I had to trim out that Cassie's mother was talking about the photos she took revealing all the DV that went on with Diddy. She wanted to, take a photo and keep that for herself, as far as, like a day like this coming. She has those photos. As I said before, Cassie told the mother, and the mother knew about that stuff. She just didn't know about the pre-go. But again, I'm just saying this because it might have been chopped out in the video.
Chloe, explain for us how the prosecution plans to use these witnesses to build their case as it relates to the specific charges Diddy is facing here.
So remember, there are 5 charges, like I said, racketeering, conspiracy. So that's where you get the individuals that worked for Combs, whether it was security, personal assistants, chief of staff. We're going to be hearing from a chef who once worked for Combs. Then you have people like Cassie Ventura, you have her mother, you have individuals talking about coercion, force, feeling that there was so much violence in the relationship for some of these women that they couldn't leave, so therefore they were forced to participate.
According to David James, Diddy's former assistant, it wasn't uncommon to see firearms around the mogul's house or at specific parties, which is when the testimony went from strange to downright unnerving. James explained these. There were times when they felt dangerous in addition to uncomfortable. In one instance, he claimed to have seen a loaded firearm casually displayed during a private event. It wasn't hidden or kept out of sight, but rather was in plain sight of everyone who happened to be present. James wasn't shy in expressing how uneasy he felt in those circumstances. He talked about a specific instance where the tension in the room was so high that he was afraid something might happen at any time. He didn't go into detail about whether he was specifically threatened, but he made it apparent that the presence of guns and the tense atmosphere Diddy allegedly created made him constantly worried about James. These weapons appeared to be symbols of power, a means of controlling and intimidating people. Depending on any supporting evidence, these claims could have serious legal repercussions and lead to additional inquiries into whether firearms were stored or used illegally. According to the commentator, claims like these frequently raise concerns about safety and liability in cases involving well-known celebrities, especially if weapons were easily accessible during parties or work-related events. Even in cases where there is no documented misuse, the suggestion of carelessness could have serious repercussions. James asserted that this, along with other concerning charges, was a part of a larger pattern in Diddy's actions. The poisonous atmosphere he outlined included more than simply yelling bouts and unrealistic demands. It also included an element of unpredictability, where fear and authority were tightly. Whether it was through his dominant demeanor or, as James claimed, the implied threat implied by the presence of firearms for the jury and everyone else watching. This case unfold, he portrayed Diddy as someone who thrived on control. This added a darker layer to the already chaotic atmosphere described in earlier as James related his experiences with firearms. The courtroom reportedly fell silent. One witness said that the change in tone was noticeable, describing a moment when even the case's most outrageous claims suddenly took on a heavier, more menacing tone. It was also evident to everyone that Diddy, who has been involved in other controversies in the past, connected to weapons-related claims in the past, but nothing documented has ever progressed to criminal charges. The most terrifying aspect of this testimony, however, is James's assertion that he never felt completely secure in his position. On some nights, he would leave work wondering if he had survived emotionally and physically. However, despite the seriousness of these accusations, neither witnesses nor tangible evidence have been offered to support James's story thus far. Instead, the court has relied solely on his statements, leaving everyone to speculate as to how much weight they carry. This isn't the first time that missing evidence has raised. In this instance, is it possible that the absence of concrete evidence will work in Diddy's favor? Or is this only the start of there will be more disclosures soon?
Noticed that some of his family wasn't in the galley. Well, now it turns out again, right? Diddy's sister was there, but his mom and sons were once again not present. Second day in a row. Take that as you will. But David James, his former assistant, came back on the stand as Kim was sitting up. He seemed a little sassy, Kim.
Very.
He did say he didn't witness any violence between Diddy and Cassie. However, he did see a blog post alleging that Combs was physical with Cassie at a club. Diddy searched James's computer history. James had been taking Cassie food at the London hotel that week, but he never saw her. Staff always answered the door. He said
a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Right? There's like this report that something's wrong, and then he's delivering food to her at a hotel and doesn't see her for a whole week.
Without a doubt, suspicious.
Yeah.
He then also spoke about this Louis Vuitton bag, regularly carrying $10K in cash, sometimes more. In the bag, there were 25 to 30 undisclosed pill bottles. These types you can see, along with Viagra and Tylenol, to increase manhood count, and water pills. He later added this one and other E's to the bag and saw
Perky and
Combs.
X.
Yes, X. There you go. He saw Combs taking them. James said he was reimbursed by Bad Boy for the expenses such as medicine and snacks, but for certain supplies such as baby oil, Astroglide, and protection, he was told to be reimbursed by Combs' security staff, who would pay him in cash out of Combs' LV bag. Now, I think this is key, right? This is part of the racketeering, the business empire, how he was constructing where money was coming from, cash money being spent, etc. He testified that Diddy requested him to bring an iPad to the hotel room that they were staying in. When no one noticed, no one answered, he walked into the room to deliver the items, and he saw Cassie in a hotel bed with a man he did not know in the room.
I have to correct myself. I think that was a typo. It technically was an iPod, I believe. I believe we are before the time of the iPad being super popular.
Music.
That was my mistake. But just to be, to
an
be
iPod. I remember
precise.
those before the phone and stuff. Yeah, we had to carry our music around on a separate device. Now it's all in one.
Right.
Well, now he saw this other man in a hotel with Cassie, and he said the man was well endowed. Let's go look at that exchange. I'm curious.
It was kind of one of these things, like it was Inner City Press said it, and we kept waiting to hear. We're like, how many of these other outlets are going to say he was well endowed? We didn't hear it, but
5'8",
yes,
with long hair and a large endowment.
and he scurried away.
Did you ask anything? I wasn't hired to ask about their personal affairs.
No.
I love it's the correct answer. Did you ever pick? They keep going. All right, well, there'll be some more. I want to go through some of these more sassy responses. Diddy was in the shower. Cassie didn't move. James said he never asked them about it because he did not have conversations with them about their personal affairs, and that's what the job description was. He also claims he was subjected to multiple lie detector tests conducted by former FBI agent due to missing items. He found the experience intimidating and recounted incidents where Combs security searched his belongings after expensive items went missing. Additionally, James revealed that Combs kept footage of him dancing while under the influence at a Diddy party. If I recall this, he said, I'm just going to keep that for later.
Just in case he ever needed something to have on him, he then had it. And that's just unsettling. So it kind of just shows again that this idea of him having something on people seems to be a pattern. And in the grand scheme of things, David did not work for Diddy for an extremely long time. It was about a year and a bit. So I do find it interesting that clearly he was looking for opportunities and he got one and he took it. So kind of sucks. But again, this is also the New Year's Eve party that Cassie always really wanted to go to and apparently never got to because Kim Porter.
As people attempt to piece together the reality behind David James' explosive claims, The question that keeps coming up throughout this trial is if there is genuine evidence to support these accusations, or if we are looking at a case that is based just on words. As of right now, the courtroom is full of mystery, but what's lacking is concrete photographs, documents, or even supporting testimony. This is James's word against Diddy's legacy, and the prosecution's case is beginning to suffer from the lack of evidence. James had enough years of experience working with Diddy to claim that he witnessed almost everything behind closed doors. But why is a question that even casual onlookers are posing? Some critics speculate that James might have personal or hidden financial agendas, while others contend that it doesn't make sense to spend so many years in a supposedly toxic workplace if that's still the case. James suggests that he stayed because leaving was not an option, but whether the jury finds his justifications credible is a different matter. In the meantime, Did's legal team isn't just sitting back. They've rejected the accusations as unfounded and appear intent on contesting them. Insiders claim that James's credibility has been consistent throughout. In addition to pointing out contradictions in James's testimony, Diddy's attorneys have questioned whether his statements are credible in the absence of supporting proof. They have also raised the possibility that James's intentions may not be as pure as he would like people to believe, suggesting that there is more to this story than catches the eye. In previous instances, a well-known celebrity has been the target of startling charges without proof. Careers have been changed by accusations alone, but they don't always stand up in court. Take Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, for example. Although the public supported Depp, it required one instance in the courtroom that had everyone watching. Was when a member of Did's defense team asked James directly if he had any tangible proof of the so-called Obama pills. His response was the following: "I have evidence to sway the verdict in his favor, but some cases fizzle out entirely due to lack of proof." Absolutely not. The defense jumped on this, making it apparent that they want to portray James as an untrustworthy witness. It was a tense moment, and Diddy remained remarkably composed throughout, despite his demeanor giving away little without concrete evidence. For James, the stakes are extremely high for both sides, and it all comes down to credibility and persuasion. Diddy wants to save his name, career, and future. Therefore, he wants the jury to believe his tale. The absence of this evidence could significantly change the outcome. Yet even while the courtroom awaits more, the trial's repercussions are already encroaching on Diddy's well-constructed public image. If the tide goes against him, what would happen?
Her in 2018 after they had ended their relationship, which he denies. The defense showing text messages between the former couple the day after the alleged rape, including one in which Ventura sent a heart emoji to Combs. Combs' team also trying to poke holes in Ventura's timeline.
That is not the gotcha moment the defense attorneys think it is. I mean, at the end of the day, witnesses are not great on specific dates, particularly when they go back years ago.
The defense also pointing to a text exchange between Ventura and Combs from 2012, in which she wrote, "I don't want to freak off for the last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives." At times today, the defense appeared to struggle to maintain momentum, facing frequent objections by prosecutors and regularly stopping Ventura's questioning to whisper together. Combs appeared to be actively involved, passing his lawyers notes. In a striking exchange with Combs' lawyers, Ventura saying, despite it all, "I don't hate him. I have love for the past and what it was."
We also saw musician Dawn Richard take the stand. She said that she witnessed Combs be violent with Ventura over the course of their relationship. I just want to remind everyone that Combs denies all of the allegations against him.
The main question today is how Diddy's career and reputation will be impacted by the accusations against him, which have caused a firestorm. From pills featuring Barack Obama's face to wild party demands and now weapons. The testimony of David James has depicted a picture of chaos and control that is difficult to ignore. These allegations are not only startling, but they also directly call into question Diddy's carefully manicured reputation as a successful businessman and mogul who revolutionized music and fashion. Diddy has long been a symbol of success and power. But will he be able to recover from reactions to these shocking allegations have been intense outside of the courtroom? Social media erupted in response to the testimony, turning some of the more odd details, like the pill bottles, into memes almost immediately. However, public opinion now seems divided, and many fans are moving away. This split could be in how Diddy is viewed, particularly by younger generations who have learned less about him. While some people are steadfastly loyal and accuse James of being opportunistic, others are taking James's side and questioning how much they actually knew about the man behind the brand. Diddy's commercial endeavors, which include music, booze, fashion, and media, are just as important to his survival as his artistic and cultural icon status. Just at the industries in his portfolio that don't tolerate this kind of debate. It doesn't take much for well-known brands to leave Kanye West's alliances after his scandals, and although no businesses have severed their ties with Diddy yet, the trial isn't over yet. However, endorsements may be in jeopardy if more damaging allegations come to light, or if public opinion turns even more sour, according to a public relations expert claimed that even the appearance of instability could unnerve prominent supporters, encouraging them to view Diddy as a risk rather than a resource. Such scandals can also leave lasting effects that permanently change a person's reputation. Michael Jackson, for example, was never found guilty of any crimes. Diddy faces a similar challenge now, regardless of how this trial concludes, as the accusations could follow him for years, tainting his accomplishments with controversy and doubt. One particularly telling moment during the trial was when James described how Diddy reportedly assaulted him at a disastrous freak-off party. For someone with such a recognizable public persona of confidence and swagger, Diddy's jaw was set throughout the testimony, and court watchers saw that he was gripping the edge of the table tightly. This was a rare moment of composure because the trial involves far from over, and if this trend continues, it's not impossible that additional accusations will surface. Will Diddy's empire continue to be undermined by the mounting claims, or will his decades-long legacy be able to withstand the pressure? There is no doubt that each new discovery weakens the fortress he has established, leaving the world in suspense. Is this the actual Diddy?
I don't know if people are trolling or not, man, but this is what I'm talking about when you are putting fear into people's heart. Of course, they're going to do whatever you say. So on the outside, it may look consensual, but it's not. These people, these women, and probably some guys too, basically scared for their lives. So again, his team is trying to say consensual when they're saying, no, this is how you get into this stuff, is putting the fear in their heart. They can't leave because they scared what's going to happen. So now they're going to do whatever he's asking, you know, to stay alive, to keep their careers, whatever the case may be. Because like I said, these people were promised things, and then I can take it away from you just like that. You know, I was looking at a comment here. Someone said, trying to figure out why a billionaire would want 20K chump change from the mom, and why would he give it back? Wait, what? 20K? He gave it back because he realized it was a criminal offense. What is that about? Hold on. 20K? I'm trying to look that up. See what this is about. Cassie mother says Sean Diddy Combs demanded $20,000 because her daughter was seeing someone else. Oh, that's what the David James testified? Wait, David James, former assistant Sean Diddy Combs testified. No, wait, hold on. No, they said I'm sorry, it was just a picture of the David James dude. Okay, hold on. An angry Sean Diddy Combs demanded $20,000 from Cassandra, Cassie Ventura's mother, and threatened to release explicit tapes of his longtime girlfriend after learning she was dating someone else. The mother testified Tuesday at the hip-hop mogul's trial. Regina Ventura says she felt physically sick when her daughter sent her an email in late 2011 to Combs to say Combs threatened to release videos of her videos of her and send someone to hurt her and the man she was seeing, the rapper Kid Cudi. Wow. I didn't understand a lot of it. The tapes threw me off. Ventura told Manhattan Federal Court. Ventura of New London, Connecticut said she then received a demand from Combs for $20,000. He was angry that he spent money on her and she went with another person, she said. Cudi, whose real name is Scott Muscudi, I can't pronounce that, sorry. Oh, snap. He's going to testify Thursday, Kid Cudi?
For years, Dylan's legacy has been at a crossroads. He has been hailed as a cultural icon who shaped music, fashion, and business. But if these accusations hold true, they could completely change the narrative. The claims of chaos control and danger behind the scenes are not just obscene. They make industry fans reevaluate the man behind the empire. Will this trial be the turning point that overshadows his accomplishments, or will it be a passing scandal? That fades with time. Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and remember to subscribe for the most recent updates as this courtroom drama plays out.